Hey, pretentious engineer here. I know you didn't ask, but welcome to your weekly one-on-one where I tackle some of the internet's most challenging questions. Now, after a decade of advancing surgical robotics, AR, and VR at Johnson & Johnson, I made a strategic exit to continue life in Japan. And I've made it my personal mission to help engineers, global leaders, and entrepreneurs find their way so they can secure their next best opportunity. Today, we're going to jump into the first module of my flagship course, How to Say Goodbye, which will empower you to craft your own strategic exit. My hope is that the learnings from this 9-module course will empower you to craft your own strategic exit, targeting a job at a 30% pay increase, living wherever you desire, and loving what you do. My colleagues have often struggled to discern how my wife and I were able to navigate various immigration, housing, financial, and employment risks during our exit from J&J. So I've decided to synthesize everything we've learned so you can progress out of that job that's killing you inside. This course is broken into 3 major movements, the first of which is inertia. It illuminates all the constraining forces that keep you in a job that doesn't have your best interest in mind, limiting your future potential. The second movement, impact, acknowledges an intentional choice to break through these inertial forces in pursuit of securing your next. And the final movement, momentum, contains the secret sauce of how to exit with your 2 greatest assets intact, your integrity and your network, both of which enable your reputation to prosper, leading to downstream opportunities. So is the grass greener on the other side? Let's find out together. Ikimashou. I've always loved the expression, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greenest where you water it most. The problem is you may be trying to water desert soil when it comes to your current job. Or your current season of life is just hard and challenging. And if you start chasing something external, you'll miss out on the next great opportunity that's right in front of you. So let's leverage some simple engineering rationale and a little bit of Japanese culture around ikigai to determine if the grass really is greener. So let's jump into it. Now, if you've never leveraged ikigai before, this is just a simple kind of like life purpose within Japanese methodologies. And it basically centers like what you love, what the world needs, what you could be paid for at my tablet right here, and what you're good at. And a lot of times in life, the opportunities we're in fit in different quadrants. For instance, you could be right here, you could be right here, you could be right here. All of those are very helpful. What I want to take you through is an exercise, and we'll start with looking at my own career first, is you could literally grab yourself a piece of paper, draw your 4 circles, and we're going to track through all of our internal ikigai within the organization we're in. So I'm actually going to go through, I think, 4 different experiences I've had leading up to my exit and where all those opportunities had me. And then we can start to look at external opportunities. If we start thinking about where there could be a good fit for us, is the grass really greener? This can be really good because it can help you understand, do you need to just dig in and work through a little bit of pain and stay where you're at? And then that's going to lead to a better opportunity quicker. Or should you brush up your resume and start hunting external? Because it's not a clear choice immediately what we should do. But because it's foggy, people sit in indecision and you can lose months or years because you just don't have the right tool. So let's start with my career. So the first thing I want to draw, we're going to use this bottom section for a little bit. I'm going to make a key for my internal ikigai leading to my exit. Let me make sure it's working. Yep. So the first role that I had at Johnson & Johnson was a design engineer. Let me write that down. Design engineer is the circle. So when I look at the ikigai, what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, I was kind of good at it. I did enjoy it. The world needed it. I could kind of be paid for it, but in the beginning, like it wasn't a perfect fit. So I don't know, I would float it somewhere around here. I wasn't the greatest design engineer in comparison to some of my peers. I tend to leverage a lot of external collaboration when I was working on different projects. So because of this, I was often perceived as not being technical enough. You know, there's individuals that can crank out a great tolerance stack or live in CAD. And while I could do that, it wasn't always a perfect fit for my collaborative giftings and innovation. I still consider myself a designer, but in comparison to others, maybe I wasn't that good. So because of that, I wasn't really like being paid for it the way that would have been helpful because I wasn't moving up as quickly in that space. So my career took a left turn. And I actually was one of the first engineers in our robotic surgery franchise at Johnson & Johnson when we were working with a startup, which was an offshoot of Google called Verb Surgical. And I was able to move into the robotics control space, which is more mechatronics or computer control of electromechanical systems. So let's do that on our key X. Robotics robotic controls. Now, robotics controls was interesting. I actually was really good at it. I loved it. I thought it was exciting. The pay still wasn't fully there and the world needed it. I don't even know if I could fit it. Can I put it in this little tiny quadrant? Do you see that pop in there? Nah, let me move it. Let's see. We'll put it right here. And then we'll just kind of draw an arrow. I want it to be inside of this area right there. So for me, like robotics controls was really exciting. I got to partner again across these really volatile political technical organizations between Ethicon, which was a Johnson & Johnson company, Verb Surgical, which was an offshoot of Alphabet, and Verily Life Sciences. And the technical aspects of it were super interesting. Like learning controls theory was amazing, but I was also working alongside like a lot of PhD engineers. So I wasn't ever like, even today, I sometimes struggle to consider myself a robotics controls engineer because they're people that master the craft. They can get into the code and immediately like turn a robot to life. For me, my ramp up for that's pretty high. I had great mentorship while I did it, but it helped me really understand the end to end of mechanical design, circuitry, software, how these pieces come together. And I did a whole bunch of testing automation. So I got really good at the logic side of it. But again, I wasn't paid super well for it because it was a lateral move from design engineering into that role. So it was the same as kind of when I came into J&J. And it's difficult for my company to calibrate my skill set because we were just building out that capability. So I still wrestled with some of the perceptions of like, you're not technical enough as an engineer. All right, next one. This is kind of where I started to find a sweet spot. Systems engineer. So within Johnson & Johnson, we started building out what's called systems engineering capabilities. And if you're not familiar with systems engineers, they're great. They basically work across the cosmos. That they start to align across your global strategic marketing, clinical engineering, design engineering, product management, project directors, the industrial design and human factors. They're looking across all these spaces and they start understanding risks that would have an impact to, say, the patient, or if you're working on a big car with lots of pieces across electronics and hardware, like how do all these things integrate together? And what's the risk if something fails, like the car careens off the road and kills everybody? That's a bad failure. So we're typically oriented a little bit towards failures, shaping architectures. So what platform are you then building to? And then the other part is requirement cascade. So now that you kind of know like the risks of potential integrations, the direction you want to shape that technology, and you have an idea of like, well, what does it need to do in order to do that? So you start prescribing it like at the highest level, this device plus this robotic interface shall enable closure force with X amount of precision in order to ensure that a vessel is always sealed on a given not undisclosed instrument. So as a systems engineer, I worked across multiple companies, multiple people to shape where the technology goes. And I loved that. So for systems engineering, it's kind of in this little awkward triangle again, because it was another lateral move. So yeah, I'm gonna put it right next to the X. Like I loved it. The world needed it. I was good at it. But because we were building out systems engineering capabilities in order for me to get into that group, it was again another lateral move. I'm not formally credentialed in it. I picked it up as I went. So I'm a journeyman in systems engineering. So it was always a challenge to kind of get equitably paid for the work I was doing. I think by the time I got to systems engineer, I was 6-7 years into my career, and I was promoted once because of these lateral moves. It's a whole nother story. I guess that leads to, is the grass greener on the other side? All right, so we got 2 more things that we're gonna do. This one's fun. Front end innovation lead. And I often use the term director because the scope of work was for me to direct innovation from Japan. The title, because of another lateral move, was go lead innovation from Japan. Even though I was aligning technology strategy, tons of budget, tons of people around the space, it was still an individual contributor role on paper. So for that, what was I good at? I was good at it. Did I love it? Some days. Did the world need it? The world definitely needed it. Could I be paid for it? Messy. I want to get what the world needs and what I was good at together, but actually I don't know if those cross over perfectly. Where would I put this role? I'm going to put it over here. There we go. So the world needed it. There's huge mismatches between our Japanese commercial organization and the clinicians being excluded, as well as upstream R&D desiring to develop great products for them. But because of scarcity, my job was heavily impacted, and I was being pressured and pushed to kind of go back to the US, even though our family moved 12 times in 1 year to get there. So I loved what I was doing. The world needed it. I would probably want to edge it into I was good at it, but I wasn't being paid equitably for it. This was my fourth lateral transition. There was a pay bump in the middle, and I had a package when I came out here, but I was not in the senior management director level category, even though that's what I was doing. So it was a big hot mess politically. So those were also pain in my internal ikigai, where, as you could see, for 10 years of toil, I wasn't really paid correct for what I was doing. And I stacked up kids. We got 4 now. And then the one that's kind of funny is content creation. Where would I put that? Good at it. I love it. Does the world need it? Content creation, again, fits here. This little triangle is where I tended to live. So there's a lot of integrations between my communication skills and becoming a master storyteller through content creation, and how I was able to set strategic vision and alignment within Johnson & Johnson around certain technology prioritizations. So I really enjoyed making content. I made 1,800 short form pieces of content. I got 20 million views, 40,000 followers, turned on monetization on YouTube, and made 100 and something bucks. So wasn't quit my job money, even though I had to eventually set up myself for a strategic exit from Johnson & Johnson. So very complicated. Oh, I forgot to write it on the key. Content creation. So for me, when I'm looking at this map, if you look at all your prior experiences and where they fit, it can help you find a gap. Like, I'm really good at doing what I love and what I'm good at and what the world needs. Kind of like I live in this little pocket. I need to push my pocket here. Like, I need to get into a spot where it's financially viable for me to raise my family and still do what I love. And when we look to external ikigai or opportunities beyond J&J, let me do a couple that I've been navigating. And this is kind of, it was meant to originally be captured right as I left, but now that I've been out on my own for 114 days post J&J, I've tried some stuff and failed at some stuff and learned some stuff. So let's go with the 4 things that I've kind of dabbled with when I'm picking up from it. First of which is just engineering, we'll say in Japan. So I'll say engineering, Japan. Now, I could have found like a staff engineering role, architect role, senior engineering role. But when I looked at like external ikigai, I would actually be putting it more in this space. I would love it. The world needs my skill set in engineering in Japan. But because the yen is so low, it would not be financially viable for me to raise my family as an engineer out here from the opportunities I've seen. It would have been like a 50% pay cut from what I was making, and that's not covering international schooling for the kids and other factors. Additionally, when I say what I'm good at, not all, but a lot of the true engineering roles would probably require at least intermediate Japanese, ideally fluency, and that's just not an area I've focused on. I'm great at overall global leadership, leveraging translators, but an on-the-ground engineer, I think you need a little bit deeper language competency for most roles that I'd be considered for. So this was immediately like looking external, not the best jump for me from J&J, so I didn't prioritize it. I didn't put my name in the hat for engineering roles since exiting and living in Japan. The second area, which I actually put a lot of focus on and a lot of learnings in, entrepreneurship. Please learn from my pain in these experiences, all right? Because there's a lot right there. We'll pick it up over time. But for entrepreneurship, I actually think I'm really good at it. So I'm going to put it over here. I love working with startups. From the couple startups I connected with and the ways that I've served them, it is an area where I have really deep capabilities across 10 years in J&J, where I could quickly come in and identify what's called like the innovation trifecta. Like, what's the unmet need, what's the technical feasibility, and what's the commercial viability. I've worked across all those spaces within J&J, so I can immediately like triage it for a startup and help push them towards where they're deficient. And then that whole triangle is wrapped in what I call branding. Like, how do you actually communicate it from a marketing perspective to drive perspectives of quality? So I really love this space. I'm good at it, But a lot of the people that are doing this need to be able to get like equity deals. They come in with a little bit of VC money and insight. Like there's not a way for me to feed my family in the Tokyo entrepreneurial scene right now. And I also started my own ventures. Like me and my wife started doing brand management, but the price points we'd have to charge for it to be profitable, like the time to acquire leads for it's too high. So we had a couple really high ticket clients that were promising, but our lead times just didn't match up with our burn rate for some of the debt we took on to stay in Japan. So things fizzled out and fell off. So entrepreneurship and kind of high ticket consulting, um, an area I would love to do in the future, but I need more time to establish credibility in those spaces and have clients start coming to me, basically being a key person of influence. So in time, I kind of want to circle back to that in the future. All right, the next one, and this is where we're heading. Global leadership. Global leadership is like right here. Like if I could secure a global leadership role, whether I've had some offers already for like head of marketing, potentially VP of strategic innovation, being in a maybe a smaller player like in the executive kind of circles, potentially CEO of small companies, or getting in at like at least senior manager or director at larger companies. Anything where you're trying to work across global partners between R&D, like new product development, and commercial, that's my sweet spot. But based on timing, like now we're either figuring out, do we continue to live in Japan? Do we have to jump back to Chicago? And if we can get all this optimized, like I'd be good at it because I'm deeply competent at people development and finding a good strategic vision and fit for the business to pursue. I love it. It lights me up to lead large organizations towards what matters for their customers, and the world needs it. Like the reality is, a lot of people are served by very large businesses or by startups that grow into large businesses. And without good business, there's not good product to help good people. So I like that. And those are the, the areas where I could probably feed 4 kids. One of the challenges I have is landing a job like that in Japan is a needle in a haystack because they don't typically do expat packages anymore, which means like base comp is going to be super challenging. There's still some people I'm in conversations with, but we are starting to look at a pivot back to the US for a season until I could restart entrepreneurship and get out here the way we want. So there might be a bump in the road. We did a 13th move to exit J&J, might be doing a 14th move back to the States, reset financially, 15th move to come back and live how we want. We don't know yet. It's messy, but leadership is a good target for me. And then the last one, I'm just running this so you have like a really good, a lot of depth in this personal example that you could apply to your own context, would be, and this is why we're here together, community builder. And community builder, I would also center in the Ikigai. When it comes to a lot of the business models I've found around content creation, you could do affiliate links, which is profitable. You can make t-shirts and merch. I'm actually most interested in collecting a small subset of our community and taking them very, very far. And that's why I love this SKOOL community. This is part of that. So people pay a subscription to be part of this group, and then they get to connect with one another, have like shared goals, and make progress together. And for me, it's like coaching across all innovators in all industries, whether they're engineers, global leaders, or entrepreneurs, and kind of like roughing out the edges and unleashing them and helping them find like the next best job or thing. That's super cool. I think I could get paid for it. I think the world needs it. I think I'd love it. I think I'm good at it. Like these classes are fun. So those are the 2 ventures we're looking at in parallel. Going and joining a business doing traditional global leadership. In parallel, my moonlighting would be on a community like this. And then maybe some days there's a liftoff. I don't know. But for you, I would encourage you to do this exercise and take time with it. Seriously, like draw it out on your whiteboard or wherever, leave it on your desk and keep coming back to it and just drawing like, what's another experience in my past within this organization? Where does it fit? And then when I start thinking about future opportunities, future roles that fit for me, if I look outside and imagine a different field, different pasture land, what would be a good fit for me? So let me erase some of this really quick. And we're going to do praxis. Now, praxis is just a fancy word. I think it's Greek or Hebrew. I learned about it in grad school. I studied global leadership at a theological seminary, which is a fun, long story. But basically, praxis means like you've heard something, now put it into practice or put action to the words. So I have 3 questions I want you to think about in regards to this exercise. And again, take time doing it. And in our community on SKOOL, we could post pictures. So like draw it out, draw your current internal one, draw your external one of what you're imagining, and post it in the community somewhere. I don't know where we'll put this yet. Maybe just at the bottom of this video. I'm learning how to use SKOOL. We're all learning together. And the first videos are going out free. So friends on YouTube and LinkedIn are like, what is this guy talking about? Come to SKOOL. It's cool. There's a link down somewhere. All right. So for praxis, the first thing I want to talk about, it's going to take me a while to write. Be patient. Which opportunities give you the deepest sense of ikigai? So I want you to, and ikigai again is like this centered reason for being. When you look across the map of internal or external, are there particular spaces that light you up? And I would chase that, because likely if that lighting you up, you're going to be good at it. You might be able to get paid well at it if you're searching for the right opportunity. You're going to put more effort into the applications. You're going to prepare for the interviews differently because you want it. And if you chase what you want instead of feeling like limited and stuck where you're at, you're going to do really well. And you might want something inside your current organization. You just have to work with your management and your director and be like, hey, if I shift into this organization, I think I could do really well. What hoops do I need to jump through to get that opportunity? It's still internal. It's watering your own grass, or it's external. And don't tell your manager that. We'll talk about how to actually start putting yourself out there appropriately and safely so that you maintain secure employment where you're at and can build towards something that makes sense. And again, that's where you start to look at signing bonuses, pay increases. It's a lot easier to get a vertical pay increase outside of your organization than internally. Not impossible internally, but I've wrestled with it, as you can see. All right, and then the next one. So going off of what would light you up, what would you, you're gonna hate this question, need to sacrifice to pursue them? Again, these are the opportunities either internally or externally that light you up. Would I say what would you need to sacrifice? You might need to move. That's hard. Right now we're navigating a lot of hard. We moved 114 days ago with 4 kids on our own dime. We might be moving again. Or we might be keeping this location, living with family in the States in order to get the right opportunity to give us the right financial runway to come back the way we want, right? There are difficult sacrifices necessary in order to progress towards, again, something that lights you up, something that centers you. And you want to make sure that when you're navigating this, though, you always keep family centered. Like you cannot sacrifice family at the expense of the next. That's just what seeds like division of marriages and absentee fathers and mothers that are working. Like you have to find a way to make that a 5th circle that overlaps. So please don't think, let me just sacrifice my family's stability on behalf of the me chart. That's not what this lesson's about. But it's likely you're already in a job that's sacrificing your presence with your family in some capacity. So it's a good idea to figure out what can you do better, right? How do you find something that does work well? So what do you need to sacrifice? Last one. And this is the fun one. It's the real choice. We're pushing you to action, friends. Is there a benefit to watering your own grass? Question. I'm going to get to the second one in a second. First of all, your job might suck. My dad, I would often ask my dad when he came home from work, he's a good, hardworking guy in production for Inc. I often ask him, like, how was work? Maybe like, work was work. Like sometimes it is just challenging and that's normal. But if we can stick in it and grow and persevere, sometimes there is a payoff at the end. So you need to recognize maybe you're just in a season of pain. You got to process through it, stay, and you'll land better because of it. I don't want you to use this as escape from current situations and adversity. But sometimes your grass is a desert, right? So the other question is, Or should you seek greener pasture? No one in your company will tell you the grass is greener on the other side, or it's very rare. A friend from your company that moves somewhere else may tell you, right? But likely your company is doing everything they can to retain you, which goes to one of our future modules on golden handcuffs. There are a lot of aspects of corporations that try to keep us stuck. And some of them can seem financially profitable for us, but it actually atrophies our skill set. We get too comfortable and complacent, and we don't grow to the level we can because we get retained. So I do want you to consider, like, should I really be looking external? I was incredibly loyal to Johnson & Johnson, and I'm going to be honest, I don't regret it. I was faithful. I made every effort to continue my employment there. I applied to like 20 plus jobs within J&J to find something in Japan and APAC so my family didn't have to move again. And it didn't work out. So I left. I picked family. And I accidentally picked a really adverse pathway that's super hard, and I've learned a lot. And now we might still be displaced. But I am so proud that I did eventually reach a point of this is enough and it's time to jump out of this pot, which is the next module, Frog in a Pot, which I've already recorded and put out. So go watch that one next. But if you're in school, discuss here. If you're on YouTube, discuss there. If it's on LinkedIn, discuss there. And I'll try to engage the chat across these three contexts. But I am excited to go deep with all of you in the journey. I'm excited for people to quit their jobs and to celebrate it as a strategic exit and using that language. And I'm so excited for you to eventually find your next and get momentum and a sense of purpose with what you do with the works of your hands. So anyway, friends, I'll see you on the next one. Keep changing the world.